May I bring to light a tweet that I sent you guys right now before we close out the first hour of the show? Jemele Hill responding to a report from Adrian Wojnarowski about Brad Stevens receiving a $70 million offer. We can talk about that also.
John Gruden money.
Indiana came to play. 7 years, $70 million. So $10 million a year to be Indiana's basketball coach.
He's a terrific coach.
And Jemele Hill retweets and says, because there was a response that said, Mike Woodson got $52 million less in his contract. He got $18 million. And she writes, all of this, Brad Stevens is a good coach, but when white coaches get branded as geniuses, their value skyrockets. Meanwhile, black coaches with similar resumes are undervalued because perception sets the market more than reality. I don't want to comment on what she's saying about black coaches versus white coaches, but on what planet do Mike Woodson and Brad Stevens have similar resumes?
They don't.
I mean, Brad Stevens, did I miss the memo where Mike Woodson was a head college coach in the state of Indiana that took a lesser program to the Final Four twice and to a national championship game? It's not similar at all. Brad Stevens has been a better NBA head coach than Mike Woodson was in his stops as a head coach.
They settled.
I just don't understand how it's similar resumes. I have no problem with offering different coaches different pay based on their performance. Brad Stevens is worthy of $70 million. Mike Woodson may show that he's worthy than way more than $18 million in the contract. And if he does well, guess what?
Give me the
He's going to get a huge raise to stay.
Give me I don't know basketball coaching that well, and she might have a legitimate argument, but it's not with Woodson. Give me the comp. Who's the black coach? Who's Brad Stevens?
I think you're really searching for something to be outraged about when you use that as the example. There's got to be another example out there that's a better example she could use, right? But when you're responding to a $52 million difference in what Brad Stevens was offered and Mike Woodson's being paid, that's apples and oranges.
Let's talk about Juwan Howard in 6 years.
Think about the locality of it. Brad Stevens grew up in Indiana, played college ball in Indiana, coached at Butler in the state of Indiana, did great things there, has done well with the Boston Celtics also. It's not similar at all. I just think we're really reaching for a story when you tweet something like that out. But to your point, Paul, there's got to be a better example, right? I would like to see that example of what she's talking about. This is not that example.
Yeah, I don't know NBA coaches.
To me, the big story here, if the numbers are accurate, it's that Indiana offered a former Butler head coach $70 million over 7 years, and he turned them down.
I know.
What's he making with the Celtics? We need to look that up.
Let me look that up. That's a good question.
He's a terrific coach.
That is a big. Well,
20 years ago, if we would have said that Indiana would have offered the former Butler coach $10 million a year in a 7-year contract, and he turns it down.
Well, I'll say,
what would we think about that program?
You keep saying the former Butler coach. He's currently the Boston Celtics head coach. So it's not as big of a stretch when you say any college program is offering the head coach of the Boston Celtics currently $70 million.
Right. But I'm strictly saying from the Indiana perspective.
Yeah.
I
think that it means
the 30,000-foot view of the perception of the program.
I think it means they're serious about getting basketball fixed. If I'm an Indiana fan, I think that actually excites me.
Would have been number one
that you see that money being thrown around. I'm not upset about it.
And we always say chase the number one target, and they chase the number one target.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at my school for chasing him, but to what you're saying, Hutton, it's a big story that he turned down $70 million to get back into the college game where he was super successful. And he's done a good job with the Celtics also. They've struggled a bit this year, but they're red hot, I know, right now. It's a huge story. I mean, that Indiana, I think on both sides, that Indiana is playing ball to the level of $70 million. That is big-time football coach money in college. They're offering their basketball coach. And couple that with the fact that he turned it down to stay with the Celtics. Big story on both sides of that.